To the well, I don't know what day is it? Beta day 2, day 3?
It depends on how what region you're in.
Depends on whether or not you're in Kazakhstan. Which, by the way, I did get a PM from somebody who said he was from Kazakhstan. So I figured I had to give him a key.
Their store experience was probably pretty smooth.
Yeah, I bet. So, guys, my name is Mike Lesko. I'm the community manager on Team Dakota, working on Project Spark, and I'm here with the creative director, Henry Sturchy, and off in the green room, enjoying our craft services delights, are Tom Burdak, who you may know as Code Logic, and Scott Fintel, who is the producer in charge of our website and services and beta key generation. So really, I'm not really the guy with the power. Get in with Fintel, because he is the source. He can hook you up. So I'm just saying, he is the guy. But we're going to start off with Henry's going to do a C-shaped hill, or what are you doing?
I went to the World Wizard today.
The World Wizard? The World Wizard?
So Project Spark is where players create and creators play. It is an open world digital canvas where you can create your own games, movies, stories, and lots more. You can use Connect on Xbox One to record your own animations, sounds, and record your own facial expressions, make your own movies. We are playing on Windows 8.1 with an Xbox 360 controller. Will be available on Windows 8.1, Xbox 360, and hopefully a beta on Xbox One early next year. And I just very quickly generated a world with our World Wizard. But what you can do is you can go in and you can manipulate and sculpt and change the world in real-time 3D. So I can go ahead and go into this world that I started from, add my own terrain. You can see here the tree snaps to the top, and all the props sort of follow the sculpting and what I do in the world. And I can go in and I can change the color, and I can paint the world. I can switch this over to be snowy and change sort of the terrain here and make it a bit winter-like. And then I can go into any object and I can give it every object has a brain, and I can go in and I can program it. So you can see here there's a when and a do, and I can do some very simple things. So for example, I'm in this tree right here, and I can just say when, left stick, do, move. And again, it's a very simple visual programming language, and it has some really smart recommendations, so you can dive in there and it will contextually give you options and things to do. And pretty much it's very easy to jump into, but very, very deep to go ahead and play. So actually, let me give it a camera and show you how we can bring a tree to life very quickly. Well, so here we go. Yay, I'm a tree jumping around in the ice. So, no U-shaped hill today. Since we have beta, we're figuring U-shaped hill is becoming a do-it-your-own sort of subject soon. So, on that note, we've got some special guests here, and I think we should tee off probably Scott first. Scott's going to be able to go through some of the website
Hey,
stuff.
there was a script. Why are you acting like there's no script, man? I wrote this whole thing up.
No,
and,
no. So one of the things you can see here is we have a link directly from the game to the website, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tee that off straight from the game, which might actually double link for you here. Sorry.
There you go.
Oh, cool.
It's in the store.
So Scott Fintel has been working on the website and is leading the team around our services. So if Project Spark
She's got a lot of free time.
If Project Spark is up and running, and it is an amazing experience where you can share everything you created, it is because Scott and his team hasn't slept in about 2.5 years.
It's true.
Honestly, Scott's team and Scott himself has been delivering just amazing things, and we wouldn't have Project Spark without them. So we wanted Scott to come on and show the website and show some of the pains of all of the hard work. And we wanted to let people know we feel the website is not just a community hub for people to gather and share information, but it is seamlessly integrated into the game, and people can go back and forth between the environments. And Scott will just tee it off and tell us what it's about.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks, Mike, for having me on. So yeah, happy to show off our website today. I was just punching through from the game that Henry was making. What was it? Your U-shaped hill?
I did a World Wizard non-hill.
Yeah,
Well, we have too many hills.
We've got a lot of hills in there. We'll show Lesgo's hill in a minute.
Yeah, it was nice.
But yeah, actually, we've got a pretty cool integration. It's something I've been in the industry a long time. You have too, but it's as tightly bound as we've link these two. It's pretty amazing.
You guys were both in XPLA, right?
We were.
Yeah, that's cool.
Did some XPLA games together. Got my
Scott worked on Castle Crashers.
Hey, look at that little
Did you
love
really
for
love Castle
Crashers.
Crashers?
So anybody loves Castle Crashers, Scott worked on it.
That's awesome.
Shout out to the Behemoth. They did a fantastic job on it.
You
Down
guys-
the block as well too.
You
But
guys wanna
Still one of my
just
favorite games.
real quickly talk about, like, because there was a lot of UGC kind of played a big role in XBLA in the past, and sort of in a lot of ways seemed to kind of build a lot of it that I've heard Sax, all three of you guys kind
Yeah.
of talk about with Project Spark. So
yeah, UGC is amazing. So worked on a bunch of levels in XBLA. Remember N+?
Yeah.
We were actually putting UGC levels in N+
Wow.
way back then.
Yeah, that's
It was
right.
kind of interesting how we were
They're
trying to
actually
do
doing
that.
an N++ now.
I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's a great game too.
so that's a great game. We did some stuff with Trials HD, if you remember that. We did some fantastic UGC levels there. We did, and probably one of our coolest contests was when we did some of the levels sharing. And I remember
Right.
you and Ken Lobb got together. We were seeing some of those levels.
Yeah.
We did a big competition
Yeah.
around it. But that was actually the genesis of UGC and how we get players to create and creators to
Yeah.
play. And that's kind of the genesis of what we wanted to do. We took it a step further though. Is not only can you do it within the game, but how do you share that with the community? How do you generate some excitement around that?
Yeah, I
in the
mean, we
world?
went with the philosophy of like a tree that falls in the forest when no one's there isn't hurt. So
Yeah.
we wanted to make sure people could promote their games and get the word out, and that the best would rise to the top and the most fun and entertaining games would have a home. And the website's really about facilitating that in a very strong way. And
Right.
the whole UGC system, your team runs the feeds and the ticker.
Yup.
All of that stuff is all very purposefully engineered so that people can get maximum exposure for their level.
That's right. So we've done a lot of work on that. So let me show you a quick little run through on the website. So you saw Henry was building his level, and you can actually punch through. You can see the website. We actually purposely, as you mentioned, I like that word, pull up some of the help docs. So we wanted to make sure that at any time you can actually punch through. You can see some help. You can get some
I saw
help.
people linking to the manual already in the forums.
Yeah,
That was
isn't that
great.
amazing? Yeah, and you put a lot of time and effort into that. But how do you have, instead of the static system, a dynamic system? So we can update that at a moment's notice, put something in there. If you change the keyboard layout again, we can do a layout. But you can go through and you can see what we're doing here. It's kind of interesting. The website is actually fairly complex. We've got an HTML5 experience, and we're really trying to design an experience where it felt good on multiple devices and platforms. So when you're looking at like a regular keyboard and mouse, you can navigate as you normally would. But
I
think about
love
it.
this experience on a tablet.
I was going to say, maybe
Yeah,
on a tablet or my
it's
Surface
incredible,
RT,
yeah.
it's fun, and you can swipe through it and you can look at it.
I
It's
played the
just that
build
one
for
touch.
like 2 hours last night on my Surface Pro 2, and just jumping back and forth from the build and the website and Surface Pro 2 running at pretty high settings. It was a really strong experience overall.
So I went through your game, and I'm just going to walk through it quickly. So those of you that do have beta access, you probably have seen these screens and you've gone through and you've played around with it. Those that don't have beta access quite yet, and you'll have to talk to Mr. Lesgo over here to get your keys, you'll probably be locked
All
at
hours of the night.
all hours of the night. You'll be locked at the front page, so you get a taste of it. But we're not quite opening up everything just quite yet. We're still working out a few kinks. We got a few bugs that we're just plowing through, and we're getting those fixed out. But pretty soon the whole world will experience it. But just as an idea, everybody can get a taste of it. But this is what you'll see. You'll kind of look at what the worlds that are out there. We have a couple of feeds that are coming across the bottom. This is something that Mike and team can actually, and yourself as well, we can put snippets in. We can announce any contests that we have. We can do lots
We can
of good
highlight
stuff
the
there.
challenges of the day.
So we meant that to be there. We got your personal profile stuff, and you'll look to see, we'll build that out a little bit more so we can see how many users are in there, how many worlds are built, and that's actually going to go up as well too. And it's amazing to see, look, we got 6,100 users already.
Yeah, I know.
That's just been out, what, 3 days?
Last night it was like 5,600.
I know, Sax came by and mentioned that today. He's like, what? So yeah, it's true. So it's really picking up some steam. We've got Mike's YouTube videos that we're going to host here. So at some point we'll put your Twitch stream TVs right in the center,
Sure.
and we'll do that. But what I'd like to get into is just show you a little walk through some of the other cool stuff that we've put in place. So let's see. Let's pick a cool level. Did you make one earlier today? Where's Mike's? I thought
Go
I
to
saw
the
it here.
latest. There was some amazing stuff I started to play last night. So if you, or the newest.
You want to go here? All
Yeah.
right, so we'll go into the newest feeds.
What was some amazing stuff?
Somebody was playing something.
It might have been just a little bit older. There was someone built a starter kit for 2D platforming, which was incredible.
Bullet Time?
Bullet Time is great too. Did you see that? It was like so it's a character-driven like Ikaruga game. So it's got these turrets, and they shoot this steady stream of black and white bullets at you, and then you can sort of phase shift into black and white with your character, and then you got to
Nice.
match the color to go through it. So it's like an Ikaruga character platformer. That was super cool.
We'll have to talk
I want to see where
to
that goes.
we'll have to talk to Treasure about that.
Inspiration.
Inspiration. So we'll go in. We'll take a look at Ikaruga. You can see that we're actually going to do lots of cool stuff here. Where not only do we show you a pretty cool view of your level, you can actually launch it directly from here. So I won't do that right now. You can see worlds that are like that. You can see who made it. I can actually punch through and see it. But one of the cool things is, actually, I'm going to like this. We'll Facebook friend it. We'll go back. We'll do that later.
Yeah, don't do.
You can see some of the lineage of it. So one of the key things that we want to showcase in the website, and we're going to show it in UGC as well, is who made the level, who was the original creator, but also what levels were created from it, right? So this is you don't see anything yet, but if after, who is that?
Jake.
We'll just call him Jake.
12145.
Jake, good old, Jake.
You guys
We're
know Jake.
first name basis.
Jake
Good
the
old-
Noose Line.
We'll just call him Jake145. So if somebody were to riff on that, and
Right,
say
that would
make
appear
level
on the
2,
right.
you would see that, but you would also see not only just one level. We could see up to 4 levels over here, but you could also see if Jake was a co-creator, you would see some of the original content here. So it allows you to navigate back and forth. Looks like Jake's
This is
already
my favorite thing. And you can get here through the game, which is also amazing.
awesome. Look at that. Sax has already commented on it, and he called out Ikaruga as well too.
Sax, 13 hours ago, what time was that? It's almost midnight.
Love his avatar, by the way. Do you see his picture?
Oh, yeah,
anyways,
he's the Castle Crashers.
yeah. But anyways, so we got
See, I'm
some
hidden
commenting.
on my real profile, so you won't find me.
Really? All right. But we can actually pull those comments in, and we actually have per level commenting. We really want to showcase what others are saying about your level, and not only give you an opportunity to showcase it to the world, but take feedback, make it better, that type of thing.
And we'd love to start doing some things. Scott's got probably the world's most insane roadmap of stuff we want to get to and things like that. And it's sort of like a mini game of Tetris meets Jigsaw meets Sudoku.
Yep.
But one of the things that I'm excited about is being able to ping people back when their level gets a comment and stuff like that is one of the things we're considering. And just bringing that website to game experience back and forth.
Yep.
I think that there's so much potential here.
And I'm kind of
I've seen
showcasing
this.
a little bit. This is our viewports
leaderboard,
page.
yes.
So this is something we want to get to, but it gives you an inspiration of what we're actually driving for. So
I
not
don't
only
think you're officially using your power. Your level, you're at 4.
I know
You should be 1.
I should be 1, right? So this is a work in progress. We got the coming soon, of course.
The boss
splattered
always
all
has
over.
to be 1.
But I should get up there. I got to talk to that.
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
fix that art. We'll get that up. But a couple other cool things about this as well too is we've got this cool dashboard up here. So let's say I like this and I want to play it later. Well, obviously you can comment on it. But we have a dashboard up here which I can comment on.
So if you're on your tablet and you're not near your Windows 8.1 PC or you're on your phone or something on the website.
But you can start finding some information about worlds. So if you wanted to start doing some searching, let me get this controller out of the way. Let's say I want to find some worlds like, what's a good one that came up? U-shaped.
There was a U-shaped hill one.
Let's see if anything's named U-shaped. Nope, we don't have U-shaped.
Try.
Mine was Mike's U-shaped.
You
something.
can still search by creators, right? Yeah.
Yep. See if Mike's come up. All right. Well, that didn't come up.
No, I think I put it up.
I
There was
think
an
it's just,
apostrophe.
Oh,
yeah.
did you? All right. We'll try one word because we do like name. Hey, there
There
it
it
is.
is.
So we actually have some cool search results. So we want to make it easy for you to find cool levels that you can play. We can filter through some of those levels. Whoops. It'll load. Give it a second. There we go. So each of our levels comes with a tag. You probably have shown this before within the game.
We haven't shown the tagging too much, actually, no.
Really? All right.
Yeah, I think people will be interested to hear. Because
Yeah.
one of the things we want to encourage, and maybe we don't encourage it well enough in the game, is by tagging your level, it'll allow the recommendation system to start hitting it. It'll allow other people to start finding it in categories. And it's just a really powerful way to help expose your level to other people based on their interests.
Yep. So, and what we're going to do is allow the search on that as well, too. And like you said, the recommendation is a fantastic feature. So we can go in and see worlds like that. We can search on users up here. So we can go in and say, I'll showcase mine. Well, I'm not a good one. Let's do Sax. He's got quite a few. So we can actually see him. We can see player profiles. We can go down and see what he's created. We can see how many of his levels have been. So this is the worlds that he's created. We can see how many actually he's downloaded. We can see his average score rating. And we're going to see a lot more come in over time down in here. This is actually your, I like to refer.
69 is his average score. He's doing good.
He's not doing bad. But I like to view that as almost your baseball card experience. Like these are all the stats that are going to be associated with you. So you can start finding other users that might have the same interests or different levels, or kind of pivot in different ways on finding users, finding levels, finding information.
And one of our key pillars is to celebrate the users and to give them some notoriety and stuff like that. So this website is a very key part of that puzzle.
So just touching base on a couple other things, we've got we're trying to surface our forums in really unique ways, so fast, easy to find information. And through our guides, we're actually surfacing that. So you'll see that we have tons of guides. We'll be updating this as time goes on. We'll be driving our walkthroughs on the right. You can go in and see some of our tutorials that'll pop up right down there. You can scroll down, immediately start watching it. We'll surface it right there. You can watch videos in page. Scroll down a little bit there. I've got it a little bit larger than normal. But our real motto is how quickly can you get the information you need with as few clicks as possible. And we're driving different ways in making sure that happens.
So a little bit about the front page. Talk about some of the goals about making this feel alive and dynamic, but also making it very usable, right? Like what I love about this page is we've got new information going by. We've got the newest levels constantly updating and refreshing, and news.
Yeah.
But right there, you're one click away from playing like all the time.
That's right. So this is exactly right. So we've got a lot of information that's going to be surfaced here. The worlds, as soon as you upload them, they go through a little bit of a process on our back-end system, but we're going to surface them as quickly as possible in our feeds here. And these are the same feeds you'd actually see in the game client.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, unless we've been under such like a big hit or on traffic or something like that. I mean, my levels have always gone up in within a minute.
Yeah, that's usually what it is. That's how we
amazing.
get over there. And there's a lot of back-end work that it takes to get the levels, the images, and all the content over there. But typically that's what will happen. The other activities that you're talking about, this whole web page is completely dynamic. So if we wanted to tomorrow and shift things around, we could reposition this. Let's say, for example,
he means it. We've done that,
and we have done it. And you'll see it. But we've tried to make this as flexible, but also as dynamic as possible. So we're going to see what the community wants, and we'll surface that information. So right now we've got Mike's news channel right here, and we've got our support channel. So if you have issues, you can pop right in and see what's happening.
And that goes into everything else with the game. Getting feedback, getting usage data, hearing what people want, and setting up the website to be flexible enough to accommodate that. There's already some comments in the forums, but for people who have seen this from the alpha to the beta, I mean, it's a night and day type of evolution, and it really was from feedback and Scott's team finally getting the stuff that they wanted to get to. But you can continue to expect that type of stuff to shape Project Spark and even the website.
It is. It really was. It's an evolution on that. In fact, we actually did a couple of redesigns.
I love the little character trophies. I just want to collect them all.
Isn't that neat? And we've done a great job with our forums themselves. We'll just pop in here. A couple things. I like looking at all the different users, and I've never seen this before. We can actually just scroll through and see all the different avatars real quickly. It's kind of interesting to see who doesn't have an avatar yet and prod them to make one. But it's just great to see all that customization you can do out there.
So show what happens when you click in, though.
Yeah, that's funny. We've never seen this many people on.
At one time.
So click in the Ginger Hermit.
Ginger Hermit, where do you see her? Right here?
There you go.
They've already got a level up on the
look at that
on there, so I'm expecting some great
look at all
things.
those worlds.
Yeah,
Ginger's been hard at work.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential in these worlds. I can't wait.
We've been watching Studio Ghibli lately. That looks like a little airship from Porco Rosso. But yeah, that's pretty cool. But you can see how quickly you can see that. We can go in, we can view the details of it. Let's check it out. Whoops, that's maybe one of those little issues I talked about we're fixing. But you can go in, you can drill down and see how quickly we can get in there. Let me go back a little bit. So the other thing I was going to talk about is on terms of community, just the way that you can get your content very quickly. So we have all of our service announcements. You'll see those coming in here. Let's see, we can see all of our forums and our discussions.
So if there is a hot button issue, this is a good place to A, bubble it up and get it over to us, and B, take a look and see if it's something that already exists or something that we're aware of.
Exactly, just pop right in
there. And also to get help from other members of the community, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really the strength of this. Is we can only do so much, but you guys can obviously work together to create a lot of stuff.
I can honestly say, using this website in alpha, I learned things from the community that was playing on the forum.
What's really cool is we actually have a pretty amazing moderation team upstairs as well, too, and they're all watching. Hey, y'all.
Ready to moderate.
Yeah, they're ready to moderate. Should I put something in there?
So anybody out there they're ready.
Nova, I'm going to test your filter. Get ready.
Get careful. They're ready.
But, and honestly, though, she's actually monitoring a lot of how people are posting, but she's actually giving out medals. So
Yes.
it's kind of a secondary system that we've got going. You can see on the left
There was
here.
a near riot when people were in and they weren't getting their beta medal.
Were there?
They were like, "Where's my beta medal?"
Yeah, and it's fantastic. I know she's been working a lot
Yeah,
with you
no,
and
she's
your
not.
design
She fixed
team
that.
of both making the medals. And I love the medals. It's like I want to make
That's
little.
cool.
Gotta make little pods.
And I think
Wow.
it's important to point out that the medals are basically automatically generated based on your start date. But obviously, if there's something that you think is wrong, just kind of let them know. And Nova
Right.
and team are totally.
But
gonna
we've
be
got
on top
other
of it.
medals coming for things like participation in the community and stuff like that.
We've got a ton of medals coming, and we also have this nice ladder that the more you
Yes.
post, the higher up you're going to get in your ranking. And the higher up you get in your ranking, you're going to, and I
Right.
forget what the name ranks are, but we've got a pretty
Yeah, and
elaborate
we
system
really
going on there.
want people to sort of build a relationship and a VIP and a bit of credibility. You know, it's very often you go to your forums and you know the couple people who are always good information. You know the couple people who are always misinformation, and we really want to highlight that and bring that out. Cooperative play and cooperative help has just been something just throughout everything we do, and that's really still ingrained in the website. And those medals and bringing people that sort of like reliability and saying it and wearing it proudly is something we focused on.
You know, and that's another interesting point. Exactly. So you can see, I was showing off, you can see how we have some of the characters in our game are actually part of the rank. And I love
Yep.
how we do that. And wait till you get to the top.
There was a
We've got
lot
some
of
pretty
debate
cool-
about that.
It was
Because
interesting
the
to see that
first
go back
rank
and
had the
forth.
squirrel really low. And I was like, wait a minute, like, people love the squirrel. The squirrel's actually really high.
I don't think we posted what the ranks are.
I know, I don't think we
should,
have. I'd like to see where people can get to.
We either
Yeah.
we post it or
Somebody will reverse engineer it.
and
That'll
figure it
be
out. That'll be
interesting
interesting to see how that happens. But
But-
the other interesting thing about this is, and I'm going to go back to how we tightly couple it, is we wanted to try something new where we wanted to get engagement with your website and the community actually affected what you do in the game. So
Mhm.
we've been working a lot with your design
Yep.
team to develop some challenges, and you've probably seen this in the
Yep.
beta, where you actually have daily challenges, weekly challenges, what have you. But actually there's some challenges in the forum, so the more you participate in the community, we actually track that within the game, and you're rewarded in the game for what you do in the website.
Yep. So you can earn credits in the game for your participation on the website, and it's super powerful just to see, the upvotes showing up and things like that.
And I'm really excited to see how we blow this out even more.
Yeah, me
so there's
too.
so many opportunities for us
Me
to
too.
expand that. Because it's really an amazing system, and like I said, it's a tightly coupled system
Yep.
to do that. Going back and forth, so I think we talked a little bit about, let's see if this works. We'll do the snap view, but we have a snap view experience, and we're going to get to that a
Yeah.
little bit more, and we need to refine that a little bit more.
Yeah, I punched right into somebody's level, and it just snap viewed out the website, and there
Yeah.
was the comment right there, and I could comment right on the level and push it back and go right back in. It was
And so
super
the cool thing will be is we'll actually have a feed where you have on the left
Yeah.
side all the
You can
different
snap
levels
with
that you're
the newest
playing.
levels coming.
And what I'd like to get to is we're actually just playing immediately on that feed right into the game. So there's actually the only downtime is the time it takes to download the level and actually
But if
play.
anybody who's played Xbox One and they snap the activity feed to the corner of the page while they're playing Forza or something like that, you can get a similar experience through the website by creating in the game and then having the snap for the newest levels coming in and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It creates a little bit of ADD because you're sort of like, oh, I want to play that. Like yesterday when Jared was creating and P-Cross came in. I was like, I gotta try that now.
Keep playing. Yeah, and I've done that as well too, where I just go through. I love playing all of our featured levels. And by the way, we update this pretty regularly, our featured levels. But you just go in, you start playing, you play, and you see what's new.
So
We'll
talk
come back.
about the feeds a little bit, because you guys also kind of marry the feeds in the client and stuff like that. And there's some editorial stuff that you guys do.
That's
Yeah.
the play page, right?
Yeah.
You want me to go back here? So it's kind
Yeah,
of
I think it
interesting.
wouldn't be,
You want me to
bad
exit
idea.
or stay
yeah,
here?
Go ahead. No,
All
my
right.
masterpiece is safe.
Is it? Okay. So I'll go back. So we also drive a lot of what you see in here. So if you go into the community and wait for it, there our services are up. That's good to see.
Woohoo.
So these are all of our feeds that we actually generate up on our services. And it's interesting because we generate it in one spot and both the website and the client actually pull it down.
Yeah, and don't forget to scroll over. There's a bunch of really cool ones here. So stuff that we talked about, like highlighting the original creators and the remixes, Team Dakota only creations, and stuff like that. So be sure to go through the feeds. You guys are updating them regularly. You can see here, you can cycle through them. I'm already seeing the top rated work. There's some really amazing levels in the top rated.
I think I had a chance
I
to
haven't
look at
seen
that.
Rough
That's
Riders
cool.
yet. Yeah, look at Rough
I haven't actually seen that yet either.
Interesting.
And I saw Sidestep, but I haven't played
Rough
it.
Rider, he just got in last night 4 a.m.
I really want to try the Sonic inspired stuff. There's a Chow or Cow Garden, and then there's a Sonic game in here somewhere.
Yep.
Here's
So-
the laser sword Jared made.
But those feeds are awesome because we actually, on a lot of these, we actually automate them. But going back to our tags, we talked a little bit earlier, how you can tag your level.
Yep.
I'm excited for us to start finding those and then surfacing those in those feeds. So
Yes.
we can see the greatest action levels
Yeah.
or the greatest arcade levels.
Exactly.
And once we start building that content in, those feeds actually generate both to the website as well as to the client.
Yeah.
You can play them simultaneously.
Nah, that's
And so
here's
that's
the
what's
best
really cool.
puzzle game. So here's the level that Jared made yesterday, the little lightsaber level, and it's already got a post in here. Jared kind of put it up there for people to be able to play around with it and edit it and stuff like that. But I just clicked straight through from the game, and we landed here.
And there you go. And then you can go right back and play it if you wanted to. We have a really cool feature at the bottom there too. I don't know if we talked about
Thing
Facebook
out
and Twitter.
Facebook.
I would've
No, we
got a
haven't.
punch
We
through.
haven't talked about that at all.
But so if you want to showcase your level on your feeds, we actually have a punch through there. So
We're not
not
signed in, so.
Yeah, it's not signed in. And
Oh yeah, we got this
we have
bug
that.
yesterday too.
did you? Okay, we'll
See,
have to fix
there you
that.
go. Who was that? Someone was complaining that we were on Chrome, and they're like, "Should be
Yeah,
IE."
so-
You're like, well, there you
So
go.
if Jared's watching, I'm gonna rate this one down because he's getting a little too cocky.
Nice. Yeah, we
Hey,
are.
hey, that's not what the Project Spark community is
That's
about.
right.
Henry.
It's a Twitch troll.
But so that's the feeds. We talked a little bit about if you're at home and you want the kids to play and they're younger, we actually curate some of our feeds. So you can
Yeah,
set
people
that
have been
up.
asking about that a lot as well, actually.
If you want to set that, you go into your profile and you can set that real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like. It's kind of cool. So go up here. You want me to do it?
Have to click
All right.
'cause the controller doesn't work.
I'm almost
for
level
there
4,
and
guys.
there.
This is great.
Yeah, I know.
This whole use my account
Oh,
on
we
Twitch
know Mike's
stream.
gonna be like the level 50 creator.
Mike, let's curate all of his content here. So here we go back in. Now Mike can only see content that we've actually moderated.
Right.
Moderated in our terminology means we've actually played it, we reviewed it, looks good to play, and we want to share it with everybody, the entire world. So if I go back and look under play, you'll see that our feeds are actually we're all curated now. So now
Cool.
you see all the curated feeds. And
So
basically,
Simon Says is passed.
so wait a minute, that's a mistake.
yeah,
How did
Mike
that
can't
get
make it
through? Oh, it must be his game. So otherwise, it's a football field. What are you talking about?
I know, it looks like goalposts. That's what I said.
I totally want to make that now.
But so those have been curated, and we have a pretty elaborate system on ways that we only show you the levels that you that we've actually approved, and it's the same thing on the website as well too. So if you're younger, the ability you'll just see the curated.
So if,
And you'll
if
see there's an abundance of levels still in there, so it's not like it puts you only into the Team Dakota stuff or anything like
so
that.
this would be something I'd want if I had kids, and I know that scares everybody, that thought. But if I did, and I wanted to make sure that they were only looking at good stuff, that would be, I turn that on, and then I could let them play and do
Exactly,
stuff.
there it is. And yep, that's exactly right.
Cool.
So there you go.
I think that hits everything.
Yeah, there we're back.
That's great.
Cool.
So, any kind of future-looking things you want to tee off, or anything you want people to sort of think about and give feedback on around the website? You know, we really do mean that
Yeah.
everybody's involved here, and we want everybody
Yeah.
to make Spark better.
So yeah, I mean, first off, we're definitely listening to the community. So I know what you and Mike are doing. We're definitely got our ears
to the
on
train
what's
track.
happening. Well, I was gonna to the post, but
Sometimes
that
you
didn't
hear
make
the
much
train
sense.
coming.
But yeah. So we're definitely listening. We're logging those issues. We're looking at fixes. Like any service, we're updating fairly frequently. We are, balancing the surface updates and maintaining onlineness, and so far we're happy with that. But we're totally looking at the future. So a couple cool things. You saw the leaderboards. I'm really excited to get that in.
Yeah,
really
that's
see
going to be
how
an
that'll
amazing
work.
step.
Coming from
I was
arcade.
playing last night already, and I was going, I wish this had a leaderboard.
So
No,
one question people keep coming up,
Bring it back.
because of the limit
Beta
on,
keys?
on beta keys. Yeah, everything's related to beta keys. So
Gee, I wonder who has access to
All right.
because of the limit on beta keys, our limited rollout, they're asking, well, how are the servers looking? What's going on? And I think it's cool to mention that that's not the issue right now, right? We haven't had any so far. Everything's solid.
Everything is looking really, really good.
Oh boy, we got to knock on wood for that one.
Yeah, is there wood in this room closet?
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Tom.
You never know.
Tom's in the green room.
No,
Yeah, he is.
no, we've got
He's enjoying the lovely fruit bowl right now.
I mean, kudos to the entire team. Our server team upstairs is just fantastic. The external teams that we work with, our operations team is fantastic. And even our external developers are helping out. I mean, so we're really fortunate. We're working really strong. We're listening and we're monitoring a lot of these different events.
Yeah,
to
I
make
was
sure that we have a
specifically
smooth
waiting.
experience.
I didn't grab the build from Kazakhstan. I actually waited for it to go up in the store, and I had the whole cycle last night where I downloaded it from the store, I put it on, the challenges popped, the levels were showing up, and just seeing the servers light up and the community, and you know, I couldn't even believe it. I went in to play Crossroads real quick, and I came out and there were new levels already going into the streams, and that is just years, months of hard work, and it's not the reason for the beta limits for sure, like we said, but it's the key to everything that's Spark.
Exactly, yeah, and a fantastic team that we're working with, so very fortunate there. But yeah, no, to your point, Mike, you know, everything's looking good.
We just have some user experience stuff and some minor bugs on kind of the client side that we want to make sure we get fixed before we roll out big and we send out automated emails. That's why we're just sort of putting them out.
We have not ingested a massive into the system, and with that brings just a lot of things. There are some stress tests and stress loads and things like that, but there's also experience things. You know, what happens when there's 5 billion levels suddenly showing up, and how do we support people that have questions? And some of that just comes down to, we would rather be hands-on and be able to provide support to a smaller number of people, and then learn from that and be able to anticipate that. So when the big, you know, rollout happens where we're implementing those changes, then we would have everybody have to deal with all these headaches and these pains. But Mike and the team are doing a great job of rolling in as many people as we can. I think we actually probably took a couple more people than we wanted, but we're getting there, and we're going to push the boundaries every day and more and keep pushing.
There might have been a few that leaked out on the side too.
So think about the beta thing as like a train.
Mike, you didn't know about that.
A train that rolls by and you can, you know, run by with a horse and jump on.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to stop the train.
That's right.
Exactly.
Train analogies. I gotta think of one now, quick.
Yeah, this is train day.
This is train day.
Tom can come in maybe and make a train.
Yeah, stay off the tracks.
Cool. Well, thanks, Mike.
Listen for the horn.
Thanks, Scott.
No, I think that's great. I think that was really good. They were excited. They really liked the website.
Hop on the website. I'm there in my my hidden gamer tag. You'll see other people on there, so the team's there.
What's your hidden gamer tag?
It's something.
Something.
They'll be able to find it. When
well,
they
you know
see
what?
the
I
score.
think I know the guy to talk to that'll figure
They'll
that
be
out.
able to find it when they see the gamer score.
Should we look him up real quick?
No.
Yeah, I think we should.
Here it is, and I'll shut it down. All right.
Oh.
You befriended me.
I specifically didn't take the little day one badge because I didn't want my gamer tag out.
Oh, you didn't? All right.
No, I didn't.
I wonder if I have the day one badge. I should look. All right, I'll come up with
I'm bad about on Facebook and my live. It's like people I know. Twitter and something's different, but Facebook,
I won't even accept Henry or Scott on Facebook. I'm like, I don't want
anybody
seeing.
There's people I know and like a lot. So
that's why you kept rejecting my
Cool.
request.
Thanks, Scott. So
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Tom is coming by to join us. Before we let Tom dive into the game here and show off some of the amazing stuff that he's been doing, I just want to address one of the questions that came up earlier around the voxel and the world limits without impeding any of Scott's spotlight and Tom's. So when we debuted Big World, we showed that the world can stretch out that far, and the world is technically possible to stretch out that far. What we did say was that you couldn't fill it entirely with voxels. You can build sort of a flat terrain across something that takes almost an hour to run across, but you cannot fill it from top to bottom with voxels. So it is a resource that is there. It's in the little resource meter that pops up. I think it's the bottom one that shows up. It is something just like anything else. We're looking at what's the right balance with that. We're collecting data on it. We're getting information about it. For beta, we really had to stabilize it. We had to make sure it worked across all of the specs we wanted it to work for, and that everybody would have a stable experience. So we still feel that even with that voxel count and stuff like that, between that and level linking and Big World, you'll be able to make very large world MMO type of like landscapes, and you'll be able to make dungeons and things with level linking. So if you guys are running into that stuff, get us the data, get us the feedback, and we can continue to expand on it, look at ways to improve it or adjust it, and just work with you guys on that. So it is there. Give us feedback and let us know. I'm going to close the door because we're getting a lot of noise. So let me tee off Tom from off camera. So Tom, as you may know, from Twitter, from the Shout Box, from his nightly talk show that he does on the now defunct UPN network. Sorry about that, Tom.
Yeah, that was really a tough blow.
Tom has touched a variety of systems. He's architectured a lot of the stuff behind the tutorials, working very closely with our designers, Alex and Kim and Brad. And most notably, he took the unenviable task that lots of people ran away from. I mean, there was literally, I saw physically someone, I won't say who, because
you would have thought the building was on fire.
Right, yeah, they ran the camera system. right?
Oh, the camera system.
When you think about games, and you think about a game that's a third-person action game, and its one job is to be a great third-person action game, which we don't have the ability to do that. We have to be lots of stuff. It's still really difficult and really challenging to do a fantastic camera that just works. And I actually, I had talked to Miyamoto-san when I worked at Nintendo about this for a long time, because we were talking about Mario 64. And one of the things that he told me, and one of the advices that he gave me, was never underestimate how challenging the camera is, because he had put one of his best guys on the camera for a month, and he said a year and a half later the camera still wasn't done. So it's a really challenging thing, and it's really important, and it's kind of an underappreciated thing, because my analogy is a great camera is a camera that no one complains about.
Oh yeah.
Nobody goes, "That's a fantastic camera." They just don't think about it.
You always notice the camera when it's bad.
Right. So Tom's done a ton of work around the default cameras, all of the camera stuff in the brain system. So it was even more complex than just getting a great camera to work and handle collisions. And this, of course, is still an ongoing process. So it'll be improving in the future. But it was actually about getting this powerful camera system and letting the user that just wants to put one tile in have a great experience, and letting the user that wants to customize it and sort of make their own camera have a great experience too. So Tom's been living that, as well as a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
So here he is.
It's like multiple lives.
Tom!
Yeah, so as Henry said, I'm Tom Burdick. Most of you know me as Code Logic.
How do you spell
Spell which?
Code Logic?
C-O-D.
How do you spell Tom?
I spell Tom.
How do you spell
T-O-M.
Constantinople?
Istanbul.
I didn't realize it was a spelling bee.
No, I know. We do this occasionally. Yesterday we went over
Code
cabbage.
L-O-G.
We went over cabbage and its usage.
Okay.
Cabbage and its usage in cooking, and I still thank Mako Wolf for that. Mako Wolf has a beta code, right?
He
It's
does.
just not Mako deserves a beta code for that.
Look at that. You can get a call from Henry, and he doesn't
Yeah,
pay attention like I do. Actually, he kind of does.
All right, so Tom is launching his super special level.
Yeah, so found out yesterday I was doing this, so I made a quick level. Basically, this level is going to showcase our default cameras and the basic transitions that you can use transitioning between the cameras. I'm also going to showcase how to do a basic cinematic camera that would be on a mover, so that you can do some of your typical cinematics.
And the shockwave.
Yeah, apparently the shockwave got put in here somewhere. That was awesome. So it's basically going to do a little bit of a dive into how you can do different camera stuff through this little level here. So right now I have just our basic follow cam. I'll show you the brains after I go through the demo level.
Tom is different than Burdick.
But this is basically just our regular old follow camera. It's kind of gets inspiration from the games like Fable, and it's a really good multi-purpose camera. It's smart about following the player, but allowing the player to have movement freedom, so that they can move around in different directions without the camera always being stuck behind them. It also has
Yeah, I think like one of the things we like to gauge is like time to right stick.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like you can run around and you don't necessarily need right stick, but it's there for you if you want to be able to use it.
Yep.
And
you're able to
also
run
be able
back at the
control
camera,
it.
which some follow cameras just they
switch,
snap
they spin
immediately
around,
right
yeah.
around, and,
Yeah.
and this one really gives you some time to actually move around. And if you set different distances and stuff with this camera, like you can get some really interesting like combat, like hack and slash kind of
we
style
were
combat with it.
we were doing some cool stuff yesterday. Jared did some offset stuff, so it looked more like over the shoulder Gears of War type of stuff.
Which you'll actually get to
And,
see one of those in this.
And you can do some cool like gauntlet stuff and isometric camera stuff.
So I mean, this one we spent a lot of I spent a lot of time messing around with different third-person cameras in other games out there to try and nail like a nice feeling camera that wasn't clunky, didn't get in your way, felt really natural, and had good collision. That's one thing that like a lot of games that I've played personally, they'll have issues with the collision on the camera, and when like it's obstructed like this, we
And just to put Tom on the spot, we still do sometimes.
Oh yeah, we still do. I mean, it's definitely not a perfect system, and we're still constantly working on it. But it's gotten a lot better than it used to be. Where you can see how the camera is just it intelligently like moves it forward so that it keeps the frame of the player on the screen nicely, but it really like handles like terrain when I try to pitch up or when a tree gets in the way or pretty much anything I try to throw at it. With boundaries being like if you could put yourself into a cave, sometimes you'll get a little bit of clipping and stuff. But I mean, we've definitely got it really well done for the collision at this point. So I'm going to switch over to the boom camera.
So another thing that a lot of people don't think about too is all of the stuff around like the acceleration and the tuning and how fast the camera swings and stuff like that, like that's all stuff that at default we want people to not have to worry about.
Yep.
But it is things as you start to tune your first-person shooter and stuff. It's things that people will want to have exposed to them, and they'll want to be able to control that type of stuff. So again, building a camera system from the ground up that we can sort of hand over to the users is no small task.
Oh no, it's definitely a unique challenge. I mean, the camera systems I worked in previously before this was, I mean, you're designing a system to hand to designers, and I mean, it doesn't need to be necessarily as simple. It can be more advanced.
And you know what's going to happen because you know the type of game.
Exactly.
Right? If you're doing a gauntlet game or something, you know where it's going to be. You know, like if you go way back to like PlayStation 1 and you say, well, why was Crash Bandicoot so, so solid and why was it so successful? You know, they knew because they knew the level design, they knew the camera, they were able to do point sampling on the textures, which looked amazing on the PlayStation because otherwise when you turn the camera, it all went to shimmery mess.
Yep.
Right, but they did point sampling on textures, they knew the camera, they scripted the gameplay along that. And it was a lot easier for them to constrain it, where our cameras can be flying underwater, on the water, right on top of objects, next to objects that scale, in a character, in a rock, in a tree.
But it is that power that makes this absolutely amazing. Because, take for instance our boom camera, which
I love the boom camera.
If you didn't notice, I'm showing off our transition system here as well.
I saw that you hooked it up to the right trigger. That's
so
awesome.
so basically, I just hit my right bumper over here, and we're going to transition into another camera. And just by adding a few tiles, which you'll see on the rule, we're able to have these nice smooth transitions.
Little squirrel
between,
trying to get in.
He's a little ham.
He's like, me.
Look at me. So the transition system is really intelligent, and it's smart about keeping the character in frame, the player or whatever target is in frame, but trying to give something that is much smoother than just snapping into place or something like that. So you get to see how I do some of these transitions, and it's very straightforward and very easy, which I really like about the way we chose to go about the transitions.
Yeah, I set up like a little Zelda puzzle game, and advice to anyone, if you're going to build something like underground, build the underground first, not the ground, and then build something underground, because that was tricky. But I did this puzzle underground, and it was like a puzzle switch puzzle, and you push some blocks. And I hadn't played around with the transitions like too much, but what I did was when you hit the levers, it drained the water, and there was a key at the bottom. So I wanted to do a camera transition switch to the key, and literally like not diving into the system, it took me like a minute to set it up.
Yep.
And it was really cool. I hit the puzzle switch and then transitioned over, and then I spent the next hour smoothing it and making it was the right perspective. But that was just me being crazy. But it was amazing. Like it's very powerful. You can do cutscenes with this. You can do sort of the quintessential put the switch key in the door and then show the door opening somewhere else or something like that.
Yep, so this is just our basic boom camera. This thing is really kind of like our ninja of cameras. It serves so many purposes. We use these for doing side scrollers, kind of like our limbo.
Yep. One thing that's important about the boom camera is it doesn't just anchor your character in the center, wherever you manually place the boom camera, so you can offset and put it back.
Yep.
So like when I did my runner game, it was more important to like see stuff coming on screen. So I put the character like a quarter of the way over, and the boom camera gives you tons of flexibility to do that.
Which you'll actually see a cinematic camera coming up, which is actually a boom camera that looks like an over-shoulder camera. Cool. So this is just our regular old boom camera. I didn't really do anything special with this. The only thing I did was I used a camera pack on it so that we could actually visually set up how we want to frame the scene with the camera, which I'm going to dive into and show you a little bit once we get to edit mode, and I'm actually showing you how to build some of this stuff. So I'm going to transition into the fixed camera. So a fixed camera kind of reminds you of a typical like security cam.
Yeah.
So it'll always try and keep the player on the screen, but it's not going to use any kind of collision detection because it's fixed. So you can run behind this tree and, I'm gone, I can't see myself. Whereas if we go back to the boom, this will use collision detection to try and come in so that you always keep the player on the screen. But you can also turn this off. It's on by default, but we do provide a tile so you can get rid of that. So you can have that obscured views if that is what you want to do with the boom camera.
Right, and you can do things too, like you can turn off the control for the camera, or you can turn on the control for the camera. So if you don't want the right stick to be able to change it, so like if you want to do like eternal darkness cameras that were very cinematic and just focused on showing off a room or something the way you wanted to, you can turn off that stick control if you want to. Absolutely.
I'm going to show you what basically what a transition is going to look like when you use the snap. So snap, we're going to come right into another camera. So this is us transitioning with a typical transition. I believe
so it's doing a blend across between the cameras.
Exactly. So it knows that as a fixed camera, it wants to be up here based on what I told it I wanted to do.
And you're setting it up in code by doing a time interval, right?
Yes. Well, actually, we're using speed for some of these, and some of these I'm using time.
Okay.
So that you can get a feeling. You can do this either by speed or time. If it's something that's time sensitive, then you're going to want it to be specified through a time parameter, which is what I do with the second cinematic camera I'm going to show you.
But if the camera absolutely positively has to be there.
Then yeah,
then
you
speed
definitely
is
want to
gonna-
do it.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where we're going to snap into a basic first-person camera. So everything about this is just a simple first-person camera tile. I did specify the transition as a snap on this, but if you didn't put any transition, it's going to snap by default. So this is exactly how it would behave if I just dropped a first-person camera tile.
So talk about a little bit like where the camera right now is anchored and how you can offset that too.
Yes, so the camera right now is anchored a little bit below the head, and our player is actually invisible right now. So the camera is actually inside the player's model, but we set them to be invisible so that obviously you don't see any of the body parts being clipped on the actual screen.
Anybody who zoomed into their character too much and sees the back of their eyeballs knows
Yes.
it's a frightening experience.
Yes, it's very frightening. So this one we're actually invisible right now, which if I could actually show you that we are, if I were to set up the offset on this, you would actually see that you're offset, but you're still not going to see the player, even if we offset it back. So this is just, like I said, it's a very typical first-person camera. This one is one of our, I guess, newest cameras that we added, and it serves a lot of purposes, not just for first-person, but for cinematics and stuff, which when I show you guys the cinematic camera I did, that's on a mover, that is simply just a first-person camera. That's on a Logic.
And I think the first-person camera today is one of the cameras we still feel like we want to evolve. We want to be able to give you the ability to, you can do it through some trickery. We want to be able to give you the ability eventually to potentially just show your character. Anybody remembers Breakdown, the game where it's like first-person fighting, and get stuff like that. But, you can throw a reticle on the screen and have a pretty competent first-person shooter in 2 or 3 tiles. And that's some of the amazing stuff about Project Spark is it's not just about depth, it's about everybody being able to throw 2 or 3 tiles in a line and get something that's fun and playable and something they can iterate from.
Yep, absolutely.
It will not run on a normal surface.
No.
So we are not RT.
So this is just a basic follow cam, but I added some depth of field on this. So as you can see, when I drop down the grass is nice and blurry, and you can look off in the distance. The trees and the rocks and whatnot, in the distance, are all kind of blurred out.
Right.
So
what depth of field does, for those who don't know, most people probably do, I'm sure. So I'm just going to be redundant. But like when you watch a movie and you see, Bruce Willis in the foreground and the building blurred out in the background, it's because the director wants you to focus on a certain thing or an object. And we actually expose that through a bunch of variables and setting your distance and stuff like that. And we allow you to do that blurring.
Yep.
So it's really cool. It provides a lot of cinematic stuff. And I think when you're using Connect and setting up your own little cinemas and machinima and stuff like that, it's just going to be a big difference between the level of polish. I know when we first got it in, we were like, "Wow, that makes so much difference."
Yeah, when I added this, it
and then
just
Crossroads
made
got
everything
over
pop.
depth of field.
Yeah, that was.
You're like, "Oh, calm down."
Yeah, I got a little bit of a headache from the Crossroads for a while there. But this is a very subtle one. This is actually using the parameters for setting all of your different depths for depth of field. But this is also what the default behavior would look like if we were to just drop the depth of field tile. But I wanted to, when we actually go into the brain, to actually see all the parameters as they're actually working. And I feel like this is a good camera just for overall playing. If you want to have that feeling of it being a true camera with a real lens, this really gives you that, because it's very subtle and it softens up the things that are close to you and in the distance. But it's not something that will obscure your vision or make it difficult to play or absolutely anything like that.
Yeah, no, I think the default settings is focused on being a playable level of depth of field.
Yep.
So, but the power is there to be able to do really cinematic stuff.
Yep. And then the next camera, we're going to zoom in over the shoulder here, and we'll bring down some letterboxes. And this is the case where I wanted to make sure that the timing of my letterboxes matched the timing of my zoom in for the camera. And
which, for anybody who's played Call of Duty and stuff like that, they know that feel when you pull the trigger to kind of do the downsights.
Yep.
And then when the reticle sort of focuses and stuff like that, that feeling and that snap is just something that's super important.
Yeah. So this one, I increased the depth of field a little bit closer on, so it really blurred us out here because this is something that was more of like a dramatic cinema type camera where you want to
seeing his one true love in the distance.
Exactly, we're discovering that the secret house is hidden in my little forest over here. So this camera is extremely easy to make, and you'll see it in the brain that I used. And this is something that would be ideal for something that you wanted to do, where you've arrived at this house and it's like, oh, it's amazing.
And you
it's
get the
what
dramatic,
I always wanted.
cue dramatic music.
Exactly. So this was just kind of to show you that doing something that is cinematic based is not something that has to be complex. This is actually a boom camera that has been modified using our parameter packs so that it has a nice perfect offset. And you'll get to see when I go into the parameter pack tool that how you can actually position and frame this is just like this so that you can get this kind of effect over the shoulder. It's really awesome.
What's the name of this map?
The name of this map?
I want you to share it.
Don't worry, I'll be sharing this. It's going to be the camera demo.
Camera demo. And make sure you give him lots of upvotes. Tom wants credits.
Yeah, I love some credits.
If you're ever gonna
always love me some credits.
Anything, I'd say it would be this.
So I'm going to switch back to this is a regular old file cam again, and I'm going to show off two features that are kind of not as well known. So under the hood, how the camera system works is we have what's called a camera stack. So the newest camera tile to execute in a brain will take priority over existing cameras.
It's funny because people were asking something very similar yesterday, just around how does the code execute, how does the brain fire?
Yep.
And normally the code initializes on start, so all the brains sort of fire at the same time, which is what we want. And you'd have to manually go in and do page switching to pull that back. But for the cameras, it is actually important to have them more in the stack.
Yes. So right now, believe it or not, all of the cameras are not on the brain of this player, but they're on a logic cube, and it made it easier for me to cycle between the different cameras without having to affect and duplicate all of my input for moving around and jumping and all that stuff. So I actually have a logic cube. You can't see here, but you'll see it in edit mode that has all of the cameras on it. What I did though is I did add a single boom camera to the player. And on the player's brain, I have when right trigger, we're going to execute the boom camera. What that's going to do is, it's going to be the newest camera once I hold this right trigger, so it's going to go use the boom camera at this point. And as long as I'm holding this right trigger, this is the freshest camera tile to execute, so it's the top on the stack. So we have a boom camera. So we can temporarily kind of push a camera to become active and do some stuff, and then as soon as I release the trigger, we go back to being a follow cam. So
That's
this
super powerful.
Yeah, it's a little known thing.
I've worked on games that couldn't do that.
Yeah, and it definitely takes a lot of work to get it to do what we want it to do here. And there's some improvements that we'd like to make to the camera stack that make it even more intuitive, so the user would actually understand more about it.
And we want to see what people are doing, just like everything else we talked about, like genres. If suddenly we see, and that's why sometimes the tags are so important. We see lots and lots of first-person perspective games. That's where we'll invest our time. If we see lots of third-person things or lots of cinematic things in machinima, that's where we'll start to invest our time. So it's definitely important, that everybody knows they can make an impact here and dive in.
Yeah. I mean, feedback on the camera is something that I absolutely look forward to seeing.
So somebody asked, do you pop the camera off the stack, or is the boom camera now the top?
So what happens is inside the player's brain, there's simply a when right trigger, do boom camera. So as long as I'm holding the right trigger, that camera will execute. And since it executed this frame, and the other follow cam has been executing for several hundred frames at this point, this becomes the youngest camera. Right. So it doesn't really get pushed on. There's not a true stack. It's more every camera that as it executes, we know what frame it started executing, so we know how long it has been executing. And we always pick the youngest. So we don't have to actually manually pop any kind of camera here. It's simply, as long as this thing is executing and it's the newest one to execute, it'll be on top. But as soon as I let go of the trigger, it's not executing anymore, so we go back to the second youngest camera, which was the follow that I was on here.
Mike, how did the chat end up talking about Mule? Are they talking about the old resource management PC game?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I want to play it. I told somebody to make Mule.
Ah, yeah, that's a good idea.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
No, the question was, is it possible to make a multiplayer game where you have turns and you switch off the controller? And I said, yeah, that's totally possible.
Oh, yeah.
Has anybody ever played this old game Mule, which I didn't think anybody would even remember that, but except old guys like you.
I saw that. I was going, how did that happen? That was your fault.
Tunnels of Doom was on the TI-994A.
That's true.
Goodness.
So streaming for the Windows version, we encourage it. There's no NDA on the beta, so we want people to stream. We don't support it like specifically in the client or anything like that for the Windows version. For the Xbox One version, we're going to be working with the platform team and the system and stuff like that, and see what we can do with streaming and stuff like that there. So we do feel like streaming is a great medium for our game. Obviously, we're here. But we want to try and support it and make it as accessible and as open to as many people as we can. But we don't have a lot of details on that right now.
How far can the camera zoom? Zoom in, zoom out?
It can zoom quite far, which I'll
it's pretty
show
easy
in
to
edit
set.
mode,
There's just a modifier that says min and max distance.
Yep.
And you can just put a number on. I mean, that's one of the ways to do it. You can attach it to a socket. The boom camera, you can just zoom wherever the hell you want. And then
or you can,
there,
if you just want to have a fixed camera that views your entire world, you can just put a logic cube way up there. And
I mean, I've done some stuff with RTS, and like you can zoom way out. What's cool too is you can put the camera on all the other conditionals that you can anything else. So when I was making the RTS, I was experimenting around when there was one unit left, it would zoom in closer. So, the camera works just like anything else. You can put all the other conditions on it.
Yeah,
you can drive it around and control it in the level if you want.
Which, like I said, the boom camera here is working off of a conditional of the right trigger. Which, if you wanted to do like a first-person shooter type of game, like you would put your aim down sights camera would be like on your left trigger.
But if you want to do something really crazy, like have the character move on the keyboard, and then have a camera flying around the level following them. Like a little robot or something you can control on the controller, you could totally do that.
So Henry, while you're talking about the Twitch and the stream stuff, just wanted to jump in. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Project Spark community channel?
You know a little bit more about it than I do, but basically, we've been jumping into some of the streams that like Duquesne's been doing and some of the people have been doing. And Mike can talk about the program, I guess. So you teed it off to me, that I'll tee off back to you. But the idea is, we want to sort of hand the keys over.
Right, and we want to really promote like everybody that's streaming the game. We really want you to do that, and we want to promote that. So what we're going to try, I don't know if it'll work. I've tried things that haven't worked before. We know that. Left action nerf, right?
Yeah,
Shadowblade.
Yeah,
but
I still appreciate that.
And Kelly Toons is in chat. Mike Kelly.
My Shadowblade.
He's kind of taking point on that. What we're going to do is we have a channel set up. It's called Project Spark Community, and what we're going to do is just try to see if we can have different people stream on it. Maybe once a week or whatever. And we could even have in the page there, it lists what everybody's normal channel is that they stream on. And this way we could have almost a 24 hours kind of the goal, the ideal place where you could go and watch somebody streaming Project Spark, and that will allow me on all our social media channels and everything to broadcast that out, because it's really hard to, if we have 100 people doing it, to do 100 different channels. But here's one channel where people go in.
And the team's been known to jump in there.
And, we're always hanging around, and we usually troll and ask for beta keys and when the Xbox 360 demo
and multiplayer
beta will be.
And multiplayer.
And multiplayer,
right.
So we might troll you if you have a stream.
So Tom, someone was asking about something that's near and dear to me, was camera shake.
Yes.
Oh, camera shake.
We absolutely have that. So the basic effects that we have for the camera, we have the screen overlay, which you saw like the letterbox.
You can do
which
like
drop
red.
in.
So when your health is low, you can do that crazy pulsing red stuff.
You also have camera shake, which is give you a nice sensation of earthquake, or it can be toned down enough to be something as simple as we use in our default combat.
In fact, I don't remember who asked it. I think it was Green Day Zone something or other. One of the daily challenges, I think, or one of the goals is actually create an earthquake camera.
Yep.
So if you want to learn how to do the camera shake on a camera, because again, I think camera shake adds a ton to gameplay and combat and stuff like that. You can actually see the steps in the challenge and then build it, and hopefully you not only learn how to do it, but then you have it.
Yep. And I do want to show off a feature that is a part of the camera that a lot of people are not aware of. So whenever you execute a camera, it executes on a target. So right now our target is this good old little guy right here. But in the cases of cinematic cameras and stuff like that, you may want to frame an entire scene. Or you might want to be able to frame just you and maybe another object. So this house right here, I have it set up on left trigger right now. So when I hit left trigger, that house is added as one of our look at targets. So now my follow camera is going to rotate around the center of the objects that are in its
So right now it's
lookout
splitting the
targets.
difference sort of between them.
Exactly. So as soon as I let off, we go back to regular follow camera. But as soon as I hit that trigger, we make
So
sure we
if
zoom
at-
out to frame the
So
entire
if at
thing.
some point, somewhere down the road, we fully supported 2 players with 1 controller each, you could do a gauntlet tethery type of thing
Absolutely.
and keep the camera between them.
Yep.
We're already prepared for that.
And this is very simple tile. We have it's called a look at targets tile inside the camera folder, and it's super easy to use. You just simply add that tile, and then you can add either an object set, so a whole set of objects that you want to add, or you can add individual objects. As long as it's executing, that object will become a target for that camera. But as soon as it stops, we can just go back to being a regular camera that targets just who we're supposed to.
I opened up a can. They're talking now about co-op.
Oh boy.
It's better than beta though, right, Mike?
Ah.
As I'm typing into chat, we'll be announcing multiplayer details in the future.
Mike wakes up with oh, we're not talking about multiplayer just yet.
Dude, I do. I mean, I have nightmares.
So the last
I
camera
like that
I wanted
both Sax and I confirmed more than 1 player will be our multiplayer.
Yeah, that was pretty good. He's like, no, it'll be, and he totally walked down on the stream and said, yeah, more than 1. And we're like, that's right, that's how we got
We've
there.
said this a bunch, but you know, we will have details. We said before later than now. We're hoping maybe it's sooner. You know, things like co-op, same screen, and multiplayer playing and creating together are very important for us. Split screen involves a lot more technology work. That one might be below some of the other ones potentially. But definitely we want people to be able to play together and create together. And that goes to doing things like creating MOBAs and creating games that are multiplayer centric. We want to be able to support that as well. It just comes down to we've got to get the details locked in.
Yep.
Soren said crazy numbers.
Yeah, Big Daddy Game Studio is quoting Soren.
What did he say?
He said it was 128 now. You should read his chat. He just implied that we are trying to support a large number of players.
Because, you know, if he said something and promised it to the community, and he's the guy that's going to be making sure that happens, I think we have some leverage, right?
Yeah. So somebody's asking how customizable is the HUD. So the HUD is very customizable. Any art that's in the game you can project onto the HUD. So you can do things like put your little character profile up in the corner with a little character display. You can change the position on the HUD. You can change the color of objects on the HUD, so you can make the health bar green if you wanted to. You can see here what Tom is doing. He's actually displaying sort of his debug text around his cameras on the HUD. That's one of the things you can do. You can do font sizes and all that type of stuff. We can also, and Mike has shown it when we did some community dives on the alpha, you can build your own kind of 3D HUDs and stuff like that with vector lines and debugs and stuff like that.
Henry's trying to steal my wallet.
Somebody's been asking about mini maps.
Oh, yeah, we get a lot of mini map
And I have
questions.
to say, I can't think of a really good, easy way to do a mini map.
Oh,
I've been wrong when I say we can't do
no,
something.
I've seen it. I know.
But there's got to be a way to do it. So we'll maybe dive into it and try and figure it out. Hopefully the community will come up with
No,
some
I'll
mini-map
tell you the
stuff.
answer right now. It's pretty simple. You just have objects that are done, and you basically create something right here. You use objects
That
and create it
updates
right.
when you update.
That
That's what
updates
I
when
was
you
thinking
update,
too.
and you can
Yeah.
move around and make radar and things like that.
That's
and
what I was thinking too.
Somebody did that. I think it was one of the reserve testers had something like that. It was really cool.
Right. I think people are really thinking about multiple viewports, though, right? They're thinking about the gameplay camera and another camera, and that we don't have.
No.
And that would make it very easy to do the mini map. So I mean, I think it's possible to do like what you were saying, but it's going to take some time.
Yes,
for somebody to do that.
absolutely. We definitely have work we need to do with the rendering and stuff like that for that.
But you could definitely do something like Tom is showing and have a button that switches to an overhead view to show your map.
But wait.
If you want to do something like Baldur's Gate, where like your world overlays right on top of you, you'd have to do something more like Mike is saying.
Yeah, but you could in theory,
Ginger's
right?
offered to do a mini map. I love it.
Oh, awesome. But I mean, you could make a suit or something that was around that had viewports that showed things. Now, granted, there'd only be one render, so it wouldn't be like you could show, hey, here's what the house looks like, and here's where I am
So
over
like
there.
intentionally cut off the camera.
Cut off the camera from certain
they've done
areas
that.
so you could look through and be like in one of those underwater scuba suit things. But
Yep. Well, the last camera that I wanted to show is a typical cinematic camera where it's
beta
actually
camera.
going to be on a mover.
Oh, okay. I
So-
thought this was the beta camera. Isn't there a camera that just gives out beta codes?
No.
Oh.
Sorry. I didn't have enough time.
Taichu 5 is asking about land limit. I talked about that a little bit earlier, so I don't want to continue to derail Tom. I'll have to roll back.
he was here when we talked about it. He was asking about it while you were talking about the
Getting a
limit.
drink or something. Had to use the bathroom, which we're
it's-
not allowed to do.
Yeah, we're not. It's sad. So I'm going to go ahead and trigger a camera that's on a mover.
Whoa, crazy tilt too.
Yep, this is kind of a typical camera that you might want to do if you wanted to actually have a cinematic camera that would kind of transition around an object and kind of like show it off.
Or even like a good cool boom crane, like a crane camera.
Mm-hmm.
I still think back to the Kevin Smith Mallrats story about how like they insisted the opening was this giant elaborate crane camera scene that ended up being like 90% of the budget that the studio insisted on.
Yeah.
We can do that in just a couple tiles.
Yeah, exactly. So all the mover camera was is we simply put down a path and carefully place my points along the path, and I set it into a curve, which I'm actually going to just go ahead and go in edit mode, and I'll just let you take a look at it. So we're going to go over here, and this guy over here is my mover. Each one of these little points here is
so we used to call these
path.
movers in the gallery, but they're called path. So if you're looking for these, they're called path.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the mouse because it's a little bit easier. You can actually grab any of these points on this path, and then you can just kind of adjust exactly how you want that particular point on your path to be positioned. So I had just done a simple little path that swings around and kind of goes up, as you can see from the angle up here.
So anybody who saw that little movie that the community put together, the sort of Star Wars parody, this was sort of how they did the little roller coaster scene.
Yep. Yeah, just a mover, and you can do a lot of stuff with these paths, which are actually kind of cool. Just a little bit separate than what I'm talking about, but I'm just going to show you real quick because this is something we use rather common with the camera system. We're going to do cinematics. So when you go inside the properties menu on that mover, you have all kinds of settings in here. So this is what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to have kind of a curved path, so it was very smooth, wasn't jagged. I can go ahead and I can change that to be a straight, and I can slow it down a little bit if we want. And then if I go back in,
you can make it linear so it only falls at once, or you can make it ping pong or bounce back and forth. So somebody was asking, how can I disable the land limit? You can't.
Use your land judiciously.
Somebody was asking about random paths. So you can't. I mean, you could spawn paths randomly, and then it would pick the one. But one of the things you could do is you're going to be locked out now. You ran into our bug. One of the things that you could do is put down a bunch of different paths and then randomly choose between them. So that would be another option for something that you could do. So how far do shadows cast? It depends on where you set that in the world settings, but you can actually sort of turn and manipulate where the shadows cast. And then there's some options for how strong the shadows are for your system and stuff like that.
I don't think the land limit's a big deal. I mean, not if you're, you go back and you look at Swan Song, which Rusty did a lot of work to get that to work in our beta so people could play it. Take a look at Swan Song and look at what he did on just what now we consider the postage size stamp of what we have. And the amount of gameplay he has in that, and what he did, and he didn't even use that whole area. So there's so much you can do.
I went out and I took the default landmass, which actually is vertical as well. So it's slightly deceiving because you could take away some of that land and get land back. And then I used plateau, and I just kept drawing and drawing and drawing a big world, and it's really deceptive because when you zoom the camera back, like it feels like you're editing a really small area. But I was holding the mouse for like 2 minutes and just making a ginormous path out. And then I went to play, and I didn't even want to go to the end. So, I think don't be deceived by zooming way, way out and editing the land really quick. Think about it in context to, and this is just a general good design thing, in context to the character and the size of the spacing you need for your game. And again, like we're looking at the voxel stuff, we're looking at these limits, and we're seeing what people are making and what they're running into. So give us the feedback and use it. And max out your lands and show us what you made and why you need more land, and it's something that we want to continue to take feedback on.
It's important to note that game developers everywhere, all since the dawn of time,
always wanted more.
Yeah, always wanted more, and always had limitations. And a lot of times when you have that, that's where the really great stuff comes. And it's optimization. It's showing stuff like don't have stuff off screen that's never seen. right? It's really making sure you can do that. And we've seen in alpha already people doing some amazing stuff with even much lower limits than what we have now.
So Mighty Max, yes, you can use an Xbox 360 controller in beta. And then Balco does bring up a good point. You can shrink your character down. Sort of the ramifications of that is that, you know, when you go to edit the voxels themselves, they'll be a little bigger. So you might not be able to get some of the finite tuning. But you could scale all the characters down and get just, you know, tons and tons of acreage for a game. So, there we go. All right, so Tom was showing one last thing. And then I have one last level to load up before we roll out.
I just wanted to dive in real quick so you guys can see the logic cube that I used. But I'm going to share this level up so that you guys will be able to explore.
Right. So Recon, I'm not sure about like PS3 controllers or DualShock 4s or the new DualShocks. I'm assuming if it works with the driver on the PC, and I don't think the new DualShock does support the new driver, I'm assuming it would work for the most part. I don't know how compatible it would be. Obviously, we recommend either the wired 360 gamepad or the one that comes with the wireless dongle. But I think it just uses the normal driver. We can look into some of that if you guys want more. Throw some stuff over on Reddit and we can take a look.
All right, so real quick, this is the brain that is controlling all the cameras in the game, with the exception of the mover camera and that one camera I was using, the boom camera, for the camera stack with the trigger. So as you can see, I mean, these camera rules are just super simple. I'm just saying that, you know, I want to use a follow cam, and I'm specifying my character in the world, and then I'm giving it a transition type, and we have several different transition types you can use. We have ease between, which means it'll gradually ease into the transition and then ease out when it arrives. Ease 2, it'll slowly like gradually go into the transition and it'll stop rather quickly and abruptly. We also have linear transitions, which your speed is going to be the same across the entire transition. And then snap, which is just going to take you to the next camera. Snap is the default transition you would have if you didn't actually specify transitions.
Right.
But we did put it in there because if you wanted to be able to toggle between cameras that are very similar, like you can specify exactly that I want to do a snap and just be able to toggle it between the two of them.
Right, and it goes back to sort of our key of things should just work.
Yeah.
So when you do the transition, it just works. It uses the snap.
Absolutely. And then I've specified this transition by speed, so it's going to do it at a speed of 15. But you can also specify, instead of speed, you can use time, which you will actually see in my one cinematic camera here.
And sort of from a game design level, time is good when you're doing things like a cutscene over to the key and the water that drained or a door opening, and speed is really good when you're trying to change the camera with gameplay involved.
Yep.
And things are still moving or something's still happening on screen.
Yeah, generally like something that you want to consistently move at a certain speed, such as like if you were going to aim down sights or something like that, you're going to want to use speed because you're going to want it to feel the same no matter what. Time usually you want to do for like cinematics and stuff like that, because usually you have something that's planned out through a series of brains that you're trying to capture, so it's usually something that's very specific to a time period, and you have a lot more control doing it that way.
That's true. I'm going to seed something that people need later left, so go ahead.
All right, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the depth of field. Depth of field was that blurring effect that we had everywhere, and it's a very customizable thing. So depth of field,
maybe too customizable.
Yeah, maybe too customizable. It is pretty crazy. So depth of field, you have 3 different field bands to depth of field. So you have your near blur field, which means everything from that camera to a specific depth is going to be blurry, and it's going to gradually go from extreme blurry down to like a very
it's not getting
slight
extreme blurry.
Yeah. So it's a gradual fade off, and then you have the next depth, which is called your focal depth, which we see here. Focal depth is how far from the end of the near blur depth out do we keep everything in complete focus. So I did this at 15 meters, which will give you a very decent sized chunk that's going to be in full focus. And then what I did is I did the far blur depth is the furthest point out where it's just totally blurred. Because I set this so far out, it's going to be such a gradual thing that when we looked at that camera, like everything else was kind of just
it was like that one little tree in the background.
Yeah, it was very barely blurred, but actually it starts to blur not that far from the player. But because you set that so far out, it allows that to be such a very gradual thing that it makes it much more dramatic and friendly on the eyes. Right. So you don't get so drastic of a blur. But if you're trying to do something that's more of like a telephoto style lens where you really want to just focus in on something, then you would either want to not have the max blur depth be very deep, or you'd actually want to specify how much blur, which you can go into our modifiers up here.
Depth of field is definitely one of the things
modify with blur
where if you get a little too crazy and do it wrong, it can make things a little funky.
Oh, absolutely! So. It can make it very difficult, and it's really a matter of tweaking it and trying your settings, and then going in and testing it, and okay, did that feel good? Was it too much? And we're looking at ways of improving the experience of dealing with depth of field and being able to tame the beast that is depth of field.
Mike is putting some codes up on eBay again. How many you got left?
Well, buy it now or the auction ones?
The auction ones. Yeah, I was gonna have to bid last night if I didn't get one.
So last thing would be, I'd mentioned camera packs earlier, and camera packs are this little boom camera editor, which we have for the boom camera and the fixed camera right now. When you go into these editors, so this is that over-shoulder cam that had the letter boxes down, you're able to really customize exactly how you want to frame your scene with the camera. So I had framed it so it was just nicely over the shoulder, and it gave that kind of dramatic, cinematic view. But if I want to just do something that's more like of a typical boom, I can go ahead. Oop, I did not mean to do it that way. I can go and position exactly where I want my pivot target point to be, and then I can zoom it in. Oh my goodness!
There's a couple of quirks between mouse and controller.
Yeah,
I think you're hitting the go-between because you tried to use both.
Yeah, I use.
Yes.
So, like people were asking, you can zoom pretty far
and
out
you can play
with the
Ants,
camera.
the game.
So, any
Ant
questions
Farm
you
Simulator,
had?
you heard it.
Any questions you had in relation to how far you can zoom out?
Ooh,
You
actually, there's
can
a
zoom
digger.
out quite far.
There's a digger game in the community right now where you can like dig through like Mr. Do. You could probably easily turn that into an ant farm. That would be hilarious.
Oh, really?
Nice.
That would be cool. All right, cool. So I think that wraps about all that stuff up then.
Yeah.
Cool. So let me go ahead and load up the level I sort of wanted to take us out with. This was something.
I don't even know what you did.
that
What did
was
you
from-
make?
I don't know. I'm not sure. What
You
it
don't
was.
know. You don't know. He doesn't.
I don't
That's
know.
Henry being cool.
I'm not sure what it was. Mike approved it all though. Mike said this is all.
Yeah,
this is all
whatever
good to
this
go.
is, I totally approved it.
So Mike said
You're
this
on
is
the
all
hook
good.
now.
All right, so we've got 3 treasure chests sitting here. Which one should I open? The center, the right, or the left?
Oh wait, so there's 3 treasure chests.
Yeah. 3
And
treasure
inside
chests
these
in here.
chests is going to be piles of coins.
I don't know.
Or
Atomic bird called left. So let's see what's in the left chest.
so we're blaming Atomic Bird. If
Here we are.
okay.
It's all on him. Here we
A lot
go.
of lefts.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, this isn't gonna cause any problems at
No,
all.
I don't know what that is. It looks like there's a bug.
It looks like there's some sort of code bug showing
Yeah,
up
I
on
know.
screen. Isn't it supposed to be
Hopefully
like
all
a?
those work.
What'd you get? You hope you didn't get them off eBay because
No,
none of those are
that
really
was
good.
like the 3 minutes before the stream started and you were typing.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what those were for.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were lost yours. Oh, my laptop's dying. Well, I guess that's another sign that it's probably
There we
time to go.
So for those that don't know, the middle one had 1 and the right one had 2. So left was the correct treasure chest.
Wow, I would have picked the right one.
Yeah.
How many were in the right
is
one?
normally right. There's 2 in the right one.
Two
We
in the
said
one?
right. That's why we didn't go that way.
That's right.
Oh well, that's usually a good sign.
All right. So thanks everybody.
All right, guys, we'll be streaming tomorrow at noon, and we'll be
Thanks
doing.
for all your questions.
I don't know what we'll be doing.
We're gonna be here all week.
We'll be here all week. Isn't this week almost over?
Mike is opening for Kanye.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you. Let me finish. All right, guys. Yeah, so follow us on Facebook, Twitter. We'll see you on the forums. Check out Project Spark community, Twitch TV. Get some folks streaming there, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks everyone.
See you.